Welcome to the show. So with us in the studio is the West Africa Security and Risk Analyst. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with everybody.
All right, before we move into we're going to talk about Pantami in a minute, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on what we talked about. Governor El-Rufai insisting he wouldn't negotiate with terrorists, but yet we've seen 3 of those young students of Greenfield killed. What are your thoughts? Do you think he should change strategy, or do you think that we should put our foot down and still not negotiate with these terrorists?
Well, it's always very difficult in this kind of situation where you have killings happening, especially when it comes to kidnappings. You know, generally you expect it to just be for ransom, where they keep them hostage for a period of time, and they release them after you release maybe some sort of money or sort of adjustment in your strategy towards them. In this case, I can't necessarily say this is what the governor should do, but I can suggest a change in strategy. That is, we have to figure out a way, if we are not negotiating with terrorists, what is the strategy we are using to actually rescue these kids without negotiating? So are we putting in place a sort of security team that is going to infiltrate these people, raid them, pick up the students or whomever has been kidnapped? We've been hearing some of those situations happen in some parts of the country where the security forces are able to infiltrate the bushes or wherever they are and bring out the rescue the victims. So I think that's one thing. That's another aspect we need to understand. So, Governor, if you're not negotiating, what is the strategy to to rescue these people? Is there a security team already in place to go in and bring them out? So those are the questions that need to be answered.
I'm glad you said that. Let me come to our other guest, Honorable Yusuf Gagdi. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yes, good morning. I'm here.
Good to have you. Before we move into the Pantami story, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this issue, because we are quite worried about the governor of Kaduna State's strategy of not negotiating terrorists, yet they have 3 of these students that were kidnapped killed, and Nigerians are worried. Should he change his strategy?
Well, Governor Nasir El-Rufai means different things to different people. He has always been what he is. He has the mandate of the people of Kaduna State to rule them and govern them for the next 4 years, which is remaining 2 years. But again, governance is about the people. It's not about, at times you compromise some of your personal principles for the collective good of the people. And again, governance is about bettering the laws and the welfare of people. In fact, without protecting life and properties of the people, including their welfare, before their welfare follows. So if he feels that he will not negotiate with bandits or terrorists or kidnappers to rescue the life of the people he governs, in my own personal opinion, that is very, very unfortunate. And but again, he reserves the right as a governor to do whatever he wants to do. But my advice for him is, whatever you are going to do as a leader of the people, the governor, the chief security officer of the state, the life of the people should be of primary importance to you. Yes, it could be you don't want to negotiate so that you don't encourage them. But again, the life of the people that have been lost, I think negotiating with them would have been the best option for him and would have been the best option for the family of those that are losing loved ones. And that comment, again, in times of security, is the reason, I think is part of the reason why some of those people are being stimulated to react in a very negative way and to equally think that Kaduna State will be a place for them to perpetrate some of those activities in order to hurt back the governor based on the comment he has made.
All right, thank you for your comments on that. Now, we'd like to move on to the issue of Pantami. So the presidency had released a statement backing the embattled Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Ali Issa Pantami, amidst calls for him to step down. The Chairman House Committee of Representatives, which you are, Honorable Yusuf, said the National Assembly and the DSS cannot possibly have all the information required to assist the public. He also said that no individual in the 180 million Nigerians were unable to remember that comment that was made or write a petition to the National Assembly for them to act or not act. Now, Honorable Yusuf, you made these statements in the House, and obviously many people have actually been concerned about that statement. So, are you saying the fact that the DSS and the National Assembly could not detect that this minister had in his past, at some point in his past, encouraged or supported terrorism. And the fact that Nigerians, you said nobody in Nigeria could actually come up to object his engagement. Do you think that is enough for us to still retain this man in the cabinet of the national, of the federal government?
Well, you are in your question, you are joining two issues that have no relationship whatsoever. I think the video, people watch the parts they want to watch, or media decide to send the part they want to send. And I accept responsibility. I will repeat that again and again and again. It was a journalist that asked a question. First, I condemned Pantami in totality, and I still condemned him, and I don't see any reason why Pantami, whether in his teenage or whatever, would have made that comment as a representative of the people of this country. In the interview, it was a program that lasted for over an hour. I made my position very clear that I don't agree with that statement, and we shouldn't have a minister of the Federal Republic making such statement and presiding over the affairs of the people of this country. I made that statement. But again, the question was that National Assembly were culpable. I said, no, you don't blame, every blame, you don't throw it on the National Assembly. When we are wrong, we are wrong. Even if we don't want to accept we are wrong. But when we are right, we shouldn't be said we are right. I told the gathering of the journalists that National Assembly does its job. When a minister was, nominee were mentioned, it went through security check, and I try my best, of course, to speak for the security, in my own personal opinion, that they have passed through different security scrutiny. Then you brought the list to the National Assembly, Senate of the Federal Republic in particular. At that point, the Senate of the Federal Republic can only disqualify a ministerial nominee based on the information available to them. Their CVs were submitted. Nigerians were expected to send their complaint or their reservation on any of the ministerial nominees sent by Mr. President, whether they want him, whether they think he is fit or not fit. I now said, those people that have such information against Pantami, during the screening exercise of Mr. Pantami, why didn't they present a petition to the National Assembly upon which National Assembly should work on? And again, if you think the DSS is a security agency or the police that ought to have naturally investigated this man to come up with ideas about him, I said the institution is not God. They won't be able to know everything about every individual.
Before I allow the ladies...
Pantami... Yes.
All right, Honor, before I allow the ladies interrogate what you just said, let me let our guests say your initial thoughts on this issue of Pantami. Do you agree with those saying that he should step down based on what he said in his past and he has since apologized for?
I do agree that he should step down, because the thing is, it creates a ricochet effect. We already saw what happened with the attack on Gaydam. We've not had a situation where terrorists are spreading their information in paper, you know, via a bill, like putting it out there like, this is what we want, this is what we want to do. It's been a while we've seen that. I think when they first started out during the end of Jonathan's regime, they were doing that. But it's been a long time we've seen that. And the only reason they would do that is because there is something that has triggered that all over again. And so for the life of us, we might not like the situation we find ourselves. What is wrong with our people and integrity? Why can't you say, yes, I wasn't a minister when I said these things, but I know this has a great effect on my people and how they feel towards me and how they feel towards what I'm doing as a minister. I hereby step down for there to be investigations, and if the government and the people see that I'm no more a part of that movement or that thought process, then I think the people can bring me back with their, with the clamor and say, oh, yeah, these are the things that I've been accused of.
So the honorable thing for you to do is to step down.
Just step down. Do it. You don't need the president or the presidency to make that decision for you. You can do that on your own. You know you had this belief. Yes, they might have been in the past, which is questionable as far as I'm concerned. Our thought process doesn't change just like that as far as I am concerned. You still have a residue of those things inside. So you do it, be autonomous in your decisions. Have the discretion to say, I step down at this moment. I wait for the investigations to be completed, and I will come back if the people realize I didn't do all these things.
That's not a very Nigerian.
Yeah, okay, Honorable Yusuf. So the question is for you. I know that, let's just, for the sake of sharing blame, let's all accept that we didn't do due diligence. As a matter of fact, the DSS failed in bringing out this information. The people also failed in bringing out this information. Fine, that has happened. We all take responsibility for that. Now that it has come to the fore, what do you think the right thing should be, based on the fact that the president has been accused of being nepotistic? And this is more like showing that the accusations are real. What do you think is the right thing for the president to have done now that it has been brought to the fore? Forget about whether he has repented or not. This was something that he said and he did not deny it.
Well, in my personal opinion, again, nepotism, it's based on the way people understand it. I'm not here to defend Mr. President, but I equally have my personal view about governance. Anybody that is put as a president of this country, in one way or the other, people must accuse him of sentiment, people must accuse him of religiosity, people must accuse him of. So that is a consistent culture in some of our politics, particularly in Nigeria. But Pantami is what should be done as a parliament. Parliament has done its own, but people must equally understand how governance operates. It is not within the powers of the National Assembly to remove a minister. The president reserves the constitutional right here either to remove Pantami or not to remove him, based on the information available to them. That is absolutely the prerogative of the executive arm of government, not that of the parliament. So Nigerians are talking, government are weighing whether it is politically motivated to some extent or it has real merit. It's left for the president to scrutinize those attacks on them and find a solution that, again, will comfort the people of this country, not will comfort an individual.
Right.
So in my opinion, Nigerians should equally allow the presidency to do the needful. I understand they have issued a statement. Maybe it's based on the information available to them.
All right.
In my personal stand, it is not within the National Assembly to say Pantami go or not go.
Okay.
It's the president of the Federal Republic
Point
of Nigeria.
taken.
Okay, maybe what they taught us in school is not right. But
Honestly.
what they taught us in school is that the legislature is a check on the executive, which means you are more powerful than you just admitted to be powerful. It's not about your opinion, sir. It is what the law provides for. That if the presidency or the president refuses to do what is right within his power, who checks the presidency? That's supposed to be the job of the legislature, sir. Or are you saying that the president is at will to do whatever they want, regardless of the clamoring of Nigerians, to put pressure? Like, is it that Nigerians cannot put pressure on the legislature to do what we want, regardless of what the presidency says? Break it down for us where your power ends. Not in your opinion, but what the law says.
Yes, the Constitution have donated a power even to the National Assembly to remove the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is how powerful a parliament is. But in terms of decision of the scenario of Pantami, who was confirmed by the National Assembly without those information available to it, and the public are crying that this man ought not to be in the executive council of the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the presidency have had that. Whether you like it or not, National Assembly does not have the power at this time to say a minister is sacked. It is the executive that reserves the right to exercise those powers based on the information available to it. You don't expect National Assembly to all of a sudden come out and say Pantami is removed as a minister. He who have the power to appoint have the power to remove. Nigerians have spoken. National Assembly have, presidency have responded. So it's not a matter of where does the power of the National Assembly. Yes, we oversight ministries, departments, and agencies of government in terms of their spending, in terms of their general activities regarding to how they better the lot of the people.
Let me go on a break, sir.
So we have the power to oversight presidency, but we don't have the power to sack a minister of the Federal Republic.
Let me go on a break. Obviously, the title's wrong. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before the break, Nima had a question. Go ahead, please.
Someone who's seen the damage that the Boko Haram insurgency has caused to a section of the society. People said Islamophobia became rife. people started to fear Muslims everywhere. I became a victim of someone pulling my veil in public and saying Boko Haram, clear to my face. So I know for a fact that it was the silence of the elites in the north, and I mean religious leaders at the time when Boko Haram was starting to call out evil as evil, that, you know, that encouraged this. So when you see a Pantami who's been a leader at 13, when you climb the mimbar to give sermon, you're a leader. You're supposed to be a knowledgeable Muslim. And at 13, your sentiments at the time were in support of something that, you know, people will be undecided. I was undecided about where my stand would be about Al-Qaeda for years as a Muslim. And you see someone who had that position, had sentiments like that expressed for years, and then suddenly says, I did that, but I've changed. And my last sermon was at 34. But I have changed now. And that person is allowed to hold public position. Don't you think that is something that we should take more seriously? Because whether or not people want to forgive him, what his position was encouraged the spread. And we don't know the level of that spread except until now, is the one that champions a public reorientation of people. Yeah. Up north especially, back to, you know, the right method of thinking. I don't expect him to be sitting in a public office. What are your sentiments around that?
You know, we are not, as security and risk analysts, we are not allowed to have sentiments or opinions, as the case may be. What we generally have to have is precedents, the facts, the data, and we compile. You know, you've expressed this thought process, and it's very important for us to key into what you said, and that is someone that had the opportunity to take over leadership as a teenager and grew into that thought process as an older person, as an adult. A 34-year-old is an adult. And suddenly you tell me he changed his opinion or he changed his mind. We know how difficult it is to change our parents' minds, you know. Not to now talk of someone that is an adult. You know, you say you're an adult, and that's the most, that's the part where you're a bit more rebellious. You know, you have your own stance and your own opinions and your own convictions. I will say this. I will repeat what I said initially. If you're a Pantami and you have integrity as a Muslim, as you claim you do, you are a leader in your lineage, and you know this does not sit well with the population of the country. The people are scared. The people don't want to have war in their country because they see what is happening in other countries. The people don't want instability in their country. You can be autonomous in your decision and say, I, Pantami, Issa Pantami, considering all this fact that has been presented before you people, and I notice you are all scared and you do not agree with what I said as a 34-year-old, I step down as a minister, considering the role I am playing in this government, so that investigations can be completed. And if the investigations are completed and you do agree that I am a changed person, then you can clamor for my return. Till he does that, as far as I'm concerned, is just a political person that is just enjoying the role.
For your thoughts on it. Let me come back to our guest, Honorable Yusuf. Some have said that the people who killed daily Boko Haram, that may have even killed these 3 university students we're talking about, these 3 college students, may have been encouraged by Pantami's sermon many years ago. These are the ripple effects of sermons like Issa Pantami held on to many years ago. Therefore, as a lawmaker, which you also agree with, and you said that personally, don't you think that the lawmakers can collectively have a consensus to the presidency, advising, you can't tell him to fire him, advising him that he should step aside, just as the public are demanding? Who are the public that you are representing? As we are demanding, don't you think it's something within the purview of the National Assembly to do?
Let's look at the Constitution very well. I think when it comes to National Assembly, people get irritated to tie in the National Assembly to almost every bad thing in this country, and it's very unfortunate. To remove the president, impeach the president, the Constitution is very clear about it and the processes that should lead to that. But from page 1 to the last page of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, yes, it was clear about how a National Assembly should conduct its oversight over agencies and departments of government, MDAs, ministries and departments of government. But I do not see the process of removing a minister by a member of a parliament in the constitution, in as much as I do not agree with what Mr. Pantami have done. My powers there as a parliament is suffocated, is limited. Whatever the parliament, the National Assembly will do regarding to this is advisory, just like during the tenure of the former service chiefs. National Assembly had a cause to pass a lot of resolutions, but it's left for the government to respect those resolutions or not to respect them. And to be fair to the members of the 9th House of Representatives and Senate, people have been expressing their concern like any other individual of this country has been expressing his concern regarding to Pantami's matter. So if I do not see a clear procedure of me removing Pantami, how I should participate to an extent that the man is removed as a member of the Federal Executive Council, there is no point wasting my time to pass an advisory resolution that I have done it time without number during the tenure of the former service chief, where on security matters, we've been given our own advice. Some are respected and some are not adhered to.
Honorable sir, I understand the helplessness post his appointment as a minister. Let's just go back to how he was appointed in the first place. So the DSS, a former director of the DSS, Mr. Makri, has come out to say that this report on his sentiments were part of the report they gave on him at the time he was profiled to become a minister. And he was sent to the National Assembly as well as the executive. Let's assume the executive, because of sentiments that they've expressed recently, did not act on it. All the members of the House of the National Assembly, the House of Reps, as well as the Senate, nobody felt that such sentiment was serious enough to be a ground where they will stand against his appointment?
I don't think it is true that there was that report regarding to Pantami to the National Assembly. Quote me anywhere. That is a fake story. It's a fake news. What I said, which is clear, which I still stand by it, is this pressure that some Nigerians that are privileged to know the commitment, the disposition of Pantami when he was 24. Why didn't they bring it up during the screening of the ministerial nominee to the Senate, to the attention of the Senate, and see whether the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this is my personal view, I'm talking as an individual parliament, not the position of the Senate or the House of Representatives. These Nigerians that have access to this sensitive information and very important information, what stopped them from hitting the media with it? At the time the screening exercise was being conducted, that was the time the National Assembly had the power to reject nomination of the president or to confirm nomination of the president.
Did you see the DSS report?
Those people that have, if those people that have those information have done that, and National Assembly going ahead to confirm Pantami, then I will accept responsibility and say, yes, the National Assembly have done extremely bad. But they didn't do that until now that the power to suffocate the man is not within the ambit of the National Assembly. It has been shifted completely to the executive arm of government.
Right.
Honorable Yusuf, do you think the Nigerian populace has any form of power at all? Because if we say that we do not want this style of governance, or we do not want this person because of this, and that, and the president looks at us and tells us that this man will fly, and there's nothing we can do about it, do you think that we are running a proper democracy and we as Nigerians have any form of say in how we are led?
I think this issue of Pantami should not disqualify our democracy. We practice democracy in Nigeria and we copy a resemblance of American democracy. I am not saying the president is equally right to say, I have forgiven him, but he has the right to either give the man prerogative of mercy or to sack the man. That is his own power. Just like President Trump, before his end of tenure, decided to forgive criminals in the United States of America, which was unacceptable to some of the Democrats. It is equally the same democracy we practice in Nigeria. I think we should be looking at a genuine way of solving this problem of insecurity as National Assembly are working day and night to say their mind, whether federal government like it or they do not like it, speaking for Nigerians regarding to how we can curtail these killings on daily basis to the barest minimum, instead of exhausting our energy to take over the power of who have the right to appoint and have the right to remove a minister. I have said it personally. I don't believe in Pantami. I don't believe in that statement he made. I don't believe in that statement. If he had made that statement to an extent of coming public to say, I accept responsibility, I have done that, I think it doesn't sound modest to my ears. But any other individual has his own right. The president has his own powers. And we, the citizens, too, have our own powers. In as much as we represent the people of this country, we should equally know the limitation that the Constitution has restricted us from doing whatever we are going to do about Pantami as a parliament is going to be advisable.
Let me come to my guest in the studio. So, people have criticized the fact that this man is in charge of a very, very important security the data, Nigerian data. As a security expert, what are your views on the fact that if we have somebody who is similarly sympathetic to terrorist activities, heading a critical aspect of Nigerian information about every citizen, what's the effect of that on our security intelligence?
Yeah, not just on our security intelligence. I will assure you that the security outfit of Nigeria are one of the best in the world. They have very, very, very intelligent people. But the problem we always have is the mixture of both politics and their jobs. That's always the biggest issue we have. So now this is what I will say. First and foremost, you will notice Nigerians will be they're generally skeptical people because they feel the government is not for them. So now you will see people drag when it comes to actually going to register for the NIN. Because now they will be like, my minister might generally be a terrorist, so I don't think I want to do this anymore. So the intensity at which people were going about it before will slow down. That's one of the effects. The other effect on our security in general when it comes to our data is that Nigerians will be a bit more skeptical. We see the skepticism when it comes to putting out data of any kind. We want to easily change our names rather than use our normal names. So there's a fear that this data might be used for nefarious purposes. And for me, that is very scary for an average Nigerian. And I wouldn't want the citizenry to have that kind of fear.
Right.
Yeah.
So going back to the Honorable, please, when you say the Constitution, sir, the Constitution is within the purview of the legislature. So if we have a Constitution that does not empower proper checks and balance, is it not within the purview of the legislature to amend the Constitution so that they are more empowered to act as checks and balance to the federal government? That's one. Number two, it's obvious that we have a major security crisis in the country. It's not restricted to any region anymore. And beyond, because you've said that, you've spoken consistently before the service chiefs were changed, and you just feel like beyond talk shop, what can the legislature do on the insecurity challenges we have in this country? What is the role of the legislature? What can they do? If the laws don't favor you to do more, how can the laws be amended to empower you to do more to protect Nigerian citizens?
I think, again, I'm not a lawyer. I've been a parliament even at the state level. But in my little knowledge of law, the crafters of Nigerian Constitution have wisdom in trying to stabilize powers between the judiciary, legislature, and the executive. The way we operate our democratic trinity, the crafters of Nigerian Constitution have wisdom in that. If you give the parliament the power to remove the president, the procedures is there. Equally give the parliament the 100% powers to confirm members of the executive council and expressly remove them. I think you are leaving the executive arm of government with no power. What we need to do as Nigerians, aside of National Assembly performing its constitutional role of supervising MDAs to the best of their ability, taking personal sentiments away from it, ensuring monies are appropriated to agencies of government that is responsible with the protection of the securities and properties of the people of this country. and at the same time monitoring the spendings of such funds, if that job is done to the best of our ability, I think to some extent we are going to reduce the problem of insecurity to the bare minimum. But beyond that, the Constitution, I cannot say have imbalances in terms of proper check and balances, in terms of proper separation of powers. There is a wisdom in that. If you say confirm, at the level of confirmation, you have the right to reject. And after confirming, you equally have the right to say, go away. I think there will be some level of equity within the distribution of powers among the tiers of government. So,
Honorable Yusuf, whenever we have a lawmaker in the House, we like to ask them this question because we are finding it difficult to get a united response to the question of restructuring. And I hate to deviate, but what are your own views? Why is it difficult for the National Assembly to beckon to the call of Nigerians, saying this security apparatus that we have today is not working? We need to decentralize power, even across other sectors, resource control, issues of education and all that. What are your views on restructuring, and why is it so difficult for the National Assembly to have a consensus on that all this while?
We have a consensus. If there is any item that we will commend the 9th House of Representatives, both Senate and the Reps, to be fair to members of the Parliament on security matter. Whether you don't like the National Assembly, you must appreciate the National Assembly on that matter. Where did you get the records of when I, as a chairman Navy, I had a cause to come up publicly on the floor of the House and challenge the activities of the service chief, and equally challenge the strategy of the federal government toward insecurity problem in Nigeria? What other things do you want? If I did not compromise as a person that is supposed to perform oversight over the Nigerian Navy, which is one of the armed forces committee of the National Assembly, I came out to say, I'm not comfortable because my people are Nigerians, and we're not comfortable with the modus operandi of the former service chief. If National Assembly can come up with that, and many other of my colleagues have not shown, including Mr. Speaker himself, he have shown his sadness about this insecurity problem in this country. We have totally started the process of police reform to ensure internal insecurity to an extent that Police Act is passed. We are considering the Police Service Commission bill. We are considering a lot of security reform bill. What other things do you expect the National Assembly to do? In the little videos I have watched of the plenary of the Senate, I have seen a lot of Senator Ndume and many other senators expressing their dissatisfaction on the security problem of this country. And equally, in terms of conducting our oversight function, we have done it to the best of our ability regarding to insecurity. And that is why we even scream more than Nigerians against the former service chief, against the modus operandi of combating insecurity in this country. I don't know whether there is further thing that you want. If you don't commend the National Assembly on the issue of insecurity and speaking for Nigerians, and ensuring the right thing is done, new people are on board. I believe now we need to encourage, in as much as people are being dying on a daily basis, the security apparatus that we sleep in our houses, and they are in the major streets of Nigeria, they were being killed on a daily basis. So let me put we have a reservation on security approach, we should equally appreciate the commitment of the security.
All right, no problem, sir. We understand all the meetings, commissions being set up. While that is happening, people are dying. But let me just take this call from Sunday. Sunday, are you there? Hello, Sunday, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes,
you're live.
Question for everybody, both in the studio and people outside.
Okay. Go ahead, Sunday. We can hear you. Go ahead, please. Sunday, you are live in the studio. Please go ahead. The phone is a bit delayed. Please, when you call in, it's a few seconds of delay in when to get to your house. So you have to listen to the phone line, not the TV. If not, we wouldn't hear what you're saying. You have a question for our guest. Let me take a few tweets from Nima. Go ahead.
Mohamed Musa Bazar says, I totally disagree with Nima. If not because of the northern Islamic scholars, 90% of Maiduguri youth would have been members of Boko Haram. Why did you think that Boko Haram would go after Islamic scholars? The likes of late Sheikh Jafar Albani were killed by Boko Haram after the visit of Obasanjo, I'm sure. Winnie says, the issue with insecurity and terrorism are causing citizens heartaches and depression. The problem is beyond Pantami's resignation. There are thousands of religious extremists out there inciting bloodshed and fear every day. How can we have a peaceful nation when hatred rules?
All right, let me let this go in.
With the response of the president and obviously his body language, it's obvious that nothing will be done about Issa Pantami. He's going to continue to be in that position. What do you think Nigerians can do? Because apparently we are not happy about the situation. What more can we do to ensure that at least something just goes, something happens? We're not just going to sit back and feel the president has the final say. We are the people. We put him in power. What more can we do?
I think the easiest thing we can do is the peaceful process, you know, where people can gather, march down streets quietly, express their, even if it's, even if it's, yeah, I know, I'm just like, I'm giving it as what is the idea behind democracy. Yeah. You know, it's acceptable, excuse me. So we see in the U.S. when there's a shooting, it's sad that it turns into looting and, you know, things like that. But sadly, we know how that the response of the government is whenever people come out to protest. You know, that's the first thing we can do. But at the end of the day, to not sound pessimistic, we're sitting ducks.
Yeah.
We're just going to quack.
Kike, I hate to cut you off, but you see, what, as a security expert, what do you advise we do as a nation? What is that thing we have to do to begin to solve? People have been saying decentralize the power. He's saying they've already put together a police affairs commission to resolve this. But is that enough? What can we do to fix this problem?
There are lots of things we can do to fix the problem, and we have to start step by step. Decentralizing is one of the steps, but we need training, very, very important. Individual citizens, we generally don't know how to have conversations with each other. We generally don't know how to, if you're in a position of a slight power, if you're the head of the maids in the household, there's a way you talk down at the people that are, you know, your subordinates. So we generally don't even have that kind of culture. So we need training for the security apparatus that will be in place. Amotekun, when they started out, we immediately saw how they started abusing their powers, you know, and they're supposed to be for the Southwest. So basically, apart from decentralizing, when we decentralize, we need to train people. Then we need to begin to understand that neighborhood watch is the way to go. We see how the people all came about when the government abandoned us during the lockdowns, and people created their own neighborhood watches to, you know, chase away the hoodlums, you know. So neighborhood watch, which the state government does, Lagos State for that matter, has something like that, where we have some key people that, you know things about their neighborhoods and all that, you know. So you see, it's just step by step. It's not a snap of a finger type of situation. We also have to think of collaboration. Collaboration is one of the things we look down on as Nigerians. If you collaborate with the right groups of people, we can make things work. But we refuse to collaborate. We refuse to see how the outfit, for example, in Amotekun can help people in those states. Do you know? Because the borders are close by. So how do we create some kind of line between the Southwest into the South-South? You know, the lines are there. So why do we keep doing this? Oh, we want to be on our own and be on your own. The Southeast, as close as it is close to the South-South too. And we remember that Bielsa is trying to resurrect their own kind of security outfit. So there's this sort of collaboration that needs to work. You know, security agencies don't like to feed each other information, I can assure you of that. But yeah, so it's very important we think of collaboration. So training, from restructuring to cutting us short to smaller packages, to trainings, to general behavioral stance towards each other, you know, level and so on and so forth.
We have to wrap up. I'm told that we got disconnected with our guests, but thank you very much, Honorable Yusuf, for joining us this morning. Talk, you had a question.
Yes, I wanted to ask concerning ideological and sentimental challenges that we have. So many of the issues we're having up north is an ideology fight. It's a religious, sentimental, ideological fight. Many of what is happening down south is the secessionists. We want to actualize our own. We want equity, and some of those things are what are fueling the crises that are happening around the country. How do you think we can deal with ideological crisis. People that can be sentimentally won over into saying, no, the Igbos need to have this and they've not gotten it all these years, and they can be incited into violence. How do we get that done?
That's why we need a solid leader. We need a leader that says, you know, the president started out like that, I am for nobody, and that phrase. If he kept with that phrase, we would have gone far as a people. I think what happened is that some people feel dragged back, while some feel like they're evolving faster. So I assure you, if you're in a class of people and you have very intelligent students, you've noticed that people that gravitate towards the intelligent students do well. So you generally don't want to stay, you know, at the back of the class. You want to be advancing. And so I feel that every time the president makes these kinds of decisions, it makes the people feel like, okay, you're not important. My people are more important than your people. And when it's time to nominate someone that should be in a particular big role, and you nominate someone that is also part of your clan, it increases. So we need it's a very, very solid leader.
I have to wrap up. We're out of time. But Honorable, are you still there? Let me just let you have the final word. What are your final thoughts on this issue of security, and what advice would you give the federal government?
Well, from my part as a parliament, in my little view, we'll continue to support security reform in the House of Representatives, continue to make laws that will guarantee the safety of the people of this country, and strengthen our existing laws by amending and repealing them to ensure that we are given a legal framework that will enable the security agencies to perform their duties, and to equally call on Nigerians to appreciate those young men and women that have sacrificed their lives to fight for the security of this country, who are equally being killed on a daily basis. The police, the army, the navy, the air force, the customs, and what have you. They need encouragement from us. And again, we should stop politicizing the security situation.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
It doesn't spare anybody. It doesn't. We should be able to confront the situation the way they are, honestly, in the spirit of one Nigeria, irrespective of all the isms, the religiosity.
Thank you, sir. We have to run off. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all we can take. Thank you very much, Kike, for joining us on the show today. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a deep breath. Monday morning. That's all we can take. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.